Hey everyone. First of all, thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. A very good afternoon to each and every one of you. I am Sumer, and basically I would like to welcome you to this AWS EDR webinar, which is on a managed service provided by AWS on disaster recovery. So this is going to be the agenda of the webinar, where we're going to firstly talk about Royalcyber. Then we're going to explore a bit about, cloud native disaster recovery, and what is the need for it, what are the different challenges, and then from there on, we're going to talk about the managed service provided by AWS, which is the on an overview for the disaster recovery. Then we're going to talk about the benefits of EDR. Then we're going to talk about the operational readiness, finally a demo, and then we would love to hear some questions from you folks about the about the webinar or the service itself. So sorry. So this is the panel that we have for today. For on the left hand side, we have Hasib with me. He is our practice head for AWS. I myself am Sumer. I am the global cloud head, and with me is Imtiaz. He's our lead engineer for AWS. So let's start off by talking a bit about Royalcyber. So Royalcyber is an IT consulting and a digital transformation company which specializes in services, solutions, and software. We've been in the market for more than 20 years, have served more than 600 customers all around the world, have an employee strength of around more than 1,800 people with 250 plus certified resources, and have a footprint in 10 plus countries spanning over 5 continents. These are all of our different customers, or should I say our clientele. As you can see, we've worked with Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, and all of these different customers are someone we've provided different cloud services to. So whether it be AWS, Azure, GCP, or OpenShift from IBM. So we've actually done it all for all of our different customers. And disaster recovery is something that, let me tell you, is a very hot topic for all of these different Fortune 500, 100 companies, and our company and our team has definitely the expertise and the experience to provide those services to them. These are all of our different business partners. So as you can see, we work very closely hand in hand with AWS, IBM, Google Cloud, Dell, Demandware. So utilizing our partnerships with these different vendors, it gives us the opportunity to provide the right services by connecting with the right experts from the core domain of these different, I would say, individual armadas. And disaster recovery is, again, since being a part of AWS, and so we leverage that partnership to provide the right services so that our customers can adhere to their business use cases. Now, moving on to the main topic, I want to first talk about what is the need for cloud native disaster recovery. So sorry. So okay, so basically we want to talk about two different aspects here. So we want to talk about the traditional disaster recovery, and then we want to talk about the cloud disaster recovery. As you can see, cloud adoption over the past decade has grown tremendously. Gone are the days when companies were very much, I would say, reluctant of moving their workloads over to the cloud itself. Keeping that in mind, we actually stated out the fact that the cloud business infrastructure has grown to $122 billion in just by 2022, and this is something that has been reported by Forrester, Gartner, and all of the other different news vendors. So the traditional disaster recovery, was great for its time. It was a great service. It was something that was doing its job. It was something that was able to provide the right services to our customers, but as the need for the business interventions grew, so did the infrastructure, and so it was getting a lot of I would say hardship for companies to actually maintain a disaster recovery spectrum for that infrastructure. I mean, for example, let's say if you have an infrastructure of more than 500 virtual machines, you would need to create a disaster recovery on a whole other all of the spectrum, right? All of the scale. And then you would have to adhere to the cost of the disaster recovery for the machines that aren't even being used, right? But since you have to place a disaster recovery to not only to adhere to your in organizational needs, but also at the same time, you would have to look into some compliances, or maybe to some client satisfaction who would be trusting in you for providing them their services. So It's all about, a large upfront investment. It's all about purchasing that DR hardware. It's about facing a lot of business disruptions in testing, and it's about, the overhead. If your business is, or if your infrastructure is globally saturated over different regions, right? But when you come towards cloud disaster recovery, now that's something on a whole different story, right? Now, in this particular area, we talk about a managed service, a service dedicated to disaster recovery, right? So all of the services that you're using over to the cloud, they all are compatible in sync with the disaster recovery service that AWS has, that basically AWS provides you. So it's very easy and quickly, it's very easy to set up, and it's very easy to replicate different servers. It's very easy to replicate the different source materials. It's also very easy for you to, have a complete whole spectrum of a DR recovery strategy. It's very low on cost when it compared to a traditional disaster recovery structure. It has a very small disruption time. It can be recovered within minutes, so that you're able to adhere to your SLOs and SLAs. And also at the same time, it's easy for you to, enhance that disaster recovery strategy as your infrastructure is growing, so that you don't have to focus on infrastructure. You just have to focus on the strategy, and in terms of how you're going to implement the disaster recovery, so that you put maximum effort and the maximum impact for your business needs, so that you could grow your business. I would say tenfold, right? All right. So some of the common disaster recovery challenges that I would like to point out here are, if I can just, read out loud, is high cost for idle services that are not being used, diverse infrastructure and different OS types for your virtual machines, server compatibility issues, inability to achieve recovery objectives like your RPOs, SLAs, and SLOs, replicating busy, continually changing workloads. Tests, drills are definitely expensive and disrupts the operation. Different DR tools or processes for different applications. Scaling DR site when primary environments are changed, when primary environment changes, right? So when we talk about high cost, so like I said, when we are trying to set up a disaster recovery, you need to have a dedicated resources for the disaster recovery items, right? Now these resources are somewhat, usually most of their lifespan are idle until a disaster actually occurs. So it's good to be ready than to be sorry when the event actually occurs, because we cannot predict when disaster recovery actually happens, right? So so basically, so that's why, that's why, a lot of infrastructures have to adhere to that cost. Then we talk about diverse infrastructure and OS types. Now, in this particular area, we're talking about different virtual machines with different operating systems, with different configurations, with different tech stacks. Now, you have to adhere to all of them, right? So, for example, you can have 10 virtual machines, and one could be very dedicated to Python, one can be dedicated to MERN, Mean, one can be dedicated to different different tech stacks, right? So the one that can come on top of my mind, right? Then we talk about server compatibility issues. God, I don't know how many of you have actually went through this. That's something I have personally gone through a lot. So compatibility issues are, I would say, take a lot of time when it comes to disaster recovery, right? So so compatibility issues is again something, you have to do a lot of backtracking, engineering, just in case if there is some compatibility challenges, in order for you to implement your disaster recovery strategy. Then we talk about RPOs and SLAs. So sometimes, you have crazy SLOs from your customers, right? They go like, hey, we need 5 nines of high availability for our infrastructure, or 8 nines or 9 nines, which is crazy, right? But we have customers who have that requirement. And achieving that on a disaster recovery plane is a bit of a challenge on its own. And it's something I think, the managed service has done wonders for us. Replicating busy, continually changing workloads. Again, as your infrastructure is growing, as new items are getting added, deleted, replicated, removed, or replaced, you would have to continually, you have to continuously keep on upgrading your disaster recovery strategy, so that it's easily compatible with your infrastructure items. Running test drills. Again, you need to set up. This comes into under the umbrella of strategic overview of having proper stress drills, so that you should be ready and you should know what to do when a disaster actually occurs, right? different DR tools that you need to do R&D, understand, and then be able to implement so that different applications can work, adhere to it, and then solve a lot of compatibility issues. RPOs and RTOs work together so that you're able to, do a lot of processes at the same time. Finally, scaling DR site when primary environment, changes. So again, this again comes under the sorry. This again comes under the umbrella of, like for example, you have different scaling environments, whether they're on-prem, whether on the cloud. You have to, keep on updating your DR strategy, right? There's one other thing that I would like to point out here, which is about serverless, options for DR, right? So for example, if you are heavy on Lambda functions, you're heavy on, RDS or any database as a service, or you're heavy on any of the PaaS services that basically AWS provides. Now, creating a DR strategy for that is a big headache. You have to understand what services they are, how do they work, how do the compatibility issues work. But using a managed services approach easily can give you that compatibility so that you're able to, restore those items as well. So these are like common disaster recovery challenges that our organizations, me and my team, have actually faced over the years. Uh, I would now like to hand over this presentation to Abdul Hasib, who's going to take you over to, first of all, the overview of the disaster recovery and then move along the presentation from there. Over to you, Abdul Hasib. Thank you so much, everyone.
Very useful information. Thank you so much, Sumar. Hey guys, this is Hasib. I'm the practice head here at Royalcyber, and I'll be continuing with the rest of the slides that we have on disaster recovery. So if I talk about, let's talk about what disaster recovery is. And to give you an overview of what disaster recovery is, disaster recovery is basically, to put it in a simple way, right? IT systems can go down unexpectedly due to any circumstances. It can be your power outages, it can cause by natural events, or there could be a security issue, right? And so with through disaster recovery, organization anticipates and address technology related disasters, right? And then disaster recovery includes a company's procedure and policies to recover quickly from such events. And when we talk about, recovery process when we talk about the process of data recovery, it consists of four key elements, right? The first one is the IT service continuity, also known as ITSC. And then the second one is the backup sites, and then recovery time objectives. And in the last, we have recovery point objective. So when we talk about IT service continuity, it's nothing but basically, it's more like a subset of business continuity planning, right, also known as BCP, that focuses on recovery point objective and recovery time objective. And it encompasses of two kinds of planning. The first one is IT disaster recovery planning, and the other one is wider IT resilience planning. Backup sites. Now, backup sites means that it's a kind of a planning, right? That includes arranging for your backup sites. And your backup sites can be hot, warm, or cold, and standby sites with hardware for your DR as needed for your business continuity. And if we talk about RTO is basically recovery time objective, and it is the targeted duration of time and a service level within which a business process must be restored after a disaster or any kind of disruption in order to avoid unacceptable consequences associated with a break in business continuity. And in the last, we have RPO. So RPO is basically a recovery point objective. That is the maximum targeted period during which transactional data is lost from an IT service due to any major incident. Up next, we have cloud-based disaster recovery drivers. So organizations are increasingly choosing cloud-based disaster recovery over legacy and on-prem disaster recovery solution, right? And organizations are seeing that their customers and business won't tolerate any downtime, and downtime is very expensive and can come with severe damage to your organization's reputation. We as in Royal Cyber, we are also seeing that organization like yours, for example, are choosing AWS DRS in order to protect their application from any kind of IT disruption caused by it can be caused by natural disaster, malicious attacks on your infrastructure or your application, or it can be simply a human error, while also achieving significantly lower disaster recovery TCO, which is the total cost of ownership. Now, in addition to the reduced DR cost and stringent recovery objectives, customers choose cloud-based disaster recovery because um, I think that the first one can be, it's an opportunity to gain additional skills and familiarity with AWS, which can often be a first step towards migration project. And the second one can be the cost and commitments involved in a DR hardware or a DR hardware refresh or disaster recovery as a service provider contract mean that a new approach has more appeal and added value in it. And the third one is the ability to have a single solution for all your workloads, rather than application specific solutions requiring application specific skills. Okay, so talking about cloud-based disaster recovery solution, and especially when we talk about disaster recovery on AWS, we see a lot of tools available in the market. Uh, but we have experienced a lot of tools, right? And we found some of the tools are very good and very easy to use, right? And one of them is right in front of your screen, which is CloudEndure, right? So I'll give you an overview of CloudEndure, what CloudEndure is. So CloudEndure was established in 2012, and they at that time they were providing technical providing they were providing technical and business services for information and communication technology, and they were mainly focused for corporate and enterprises sector with specific service offerings that were focused on business continuity and disaster recovery. As an AWS Advanced Technology partner since 2016, CloudEndure has long joined forces with AWS to help customers future-proof their business. And in January 2019, AWS acquired CloudEndure, and they expanded their ability to deliver innovative and flexible migration and disaster recovery solutions that are more suitable for businesses of all sizes and industries. However, there's one point to note is that uh, now CloudEndure is offering two kind of services. The first one is CloudEndure migration, and the other one is CloudEndure DR, right? So a point to note here is that there are licenses that is available for CloudEndure migration. However, that is going to expire, and the service will no longer be available after December 30, 2022. CloudEndure migration and CloudEndure disaster recovery are two separate services, and they both have separate roadmaps and plans. And CloudEndure migration sunset plan is not going to affect CloudEndure disaster recovery service. Right. Now let's talk about overview of AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery Service. So it's a disaster recovery service designed by AWS, which uses the most effective and efficient resources available on AWS to maintain an up-to-date copy of your source servers on AWS. EDR is basically it's a next generation of CloudEndure disaster recovery, and EDR offers key features and operational benefits that are not available with CloudEndure disaster recovery. EDR is operated from the AWS management console, and I believe this is one of the best part because you don't have two separate console. One for CloudEndure where you're managing your disaster recovery, and one for your AWS management console where you're managing, and you're seeing your instances and their health state, etc. And with AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery, you can recover your application on AWS from physical infrastructure, from VMware vSphere, Microsoft Hyper-V, or any other cloud infrastructure. You can also use AWS EDR to recover Amazon EC2 instances in a different region as well. Okay, so let's talk about some of the benefits of EDR. So as you see, there are a lot of values for using a cloud-based disaster recovery solution. So the first one is that a cloud-based DR is cost efficient. It's highly scalable. It has lower RTO and RPO. It's highly flexible. Gives you minimum downtime. And of course, it's very reliable. And we talk about and we're going to talk about robust operational efficiency and business continuity as well. So let's give you an overview of when we talk about robust operation. So robust operation, when I say robust operation, right? So by that I mean is that this EDR has gained customers and end users trust. Uh, so you can be relied upon this service to run your business as usual using a secure and proven approach. If I talk about operational efficiency, so it's highly efficient, right? You can, if you want, you can retire your legacy DR hardware and avoid purchasing duplicate software licensing for your standby DR site. And with cloud-based DR, you only need to pay for the fully provisioned resources that you're using for your recovery or your drills. And so this also frees up your IT resources so that you can focus on the activities that differentiate your business. Talking about business continuity, right? So business continuity, a key pillar for any business continuity is the resilience. And when we talk about resilience for a cloud-based disaster recovery tool, it gives you a peace of mind. So it's very easy to deploy periodic DR drills whenever you want without disrupting your source environment and with instant access to your cloud resources. This gives you the peace of mind that you'll be able to recover your application if you need to. AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery benefits. So there are three key points here. Number one is flexibility. Number two is reliability. And number three is highly automated. So when we talk about, so AWS DR is, it's very flexible, it's reliable, it's highly automated service that minimizes your downtime and data loss by, quickly recovering your servers on AWS in the event of an IT disruption. And with AWS DRS, you can do a lot of things. For instance, um, as Sumer discussed with you before, that we have very stringent and very tight RPOs and RTOs signed with some of our customers. So you can meet stringent RPOs and RTOs. You can reduce the ideal recovery site resources and lower your disaster recovery total cost of ownership, TCO. And you can use the same and a very simple process to operate, regardless of the OS version or application. And you can conduct frequent DR drills without impacting to replication or any other user activities. And the best thing is that you only need to pay for what you need, and therefore you follow pay as you go here. If I talk about flexibility, uh, so the way I can so the way I see it is right. You can replicate and recover all your applications and databases that runs on supported operating systems. Now this includes common disaster recovery databases such as Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and it can also be your mission critical applications such as SAP, and it can be your homegrown application, right? And on AWS DRS, right, it supports the most common Windows and Linux operating system versions, and it continuously replicates the data at block level. AWS DRS automatically provisions and manages a staging area subnet in your AWS account, which leverages cost-effective AWS resource to receive your replicated data without incurring significant cost. And you only need to pay for the resources or for the workloads that you are actually deploying there and you're when you're using them, right? And you can use it for your drills and your recoveries. And this helps you save a lot of cost by removing the ideal recovery site resources. So you only pay for your full disaster recovery site when you need it. And with flexibility and a usage-based hourly billing rate per source server, you can easily add or remove servers without long-term contacts. And if I talk about reliability, so AWS DRS continuously replicates your workloads at the block level, and it does it in a very reliable and a robust manner without impacting any performance. So all of the data from your source server is replicated to your AWS account, including server state, operating system, its configuration files, the application in your OS, databases, and other files as well. So the continuous replication enables a recovery point objectives, RPOs, of seconds for your DR. And since your data is up to date and ready to be launched on AWS for recovery or drills, you can do that exercise whenever you want. And AWS DRS also automates server conversion and orchestration as well. So, and this enables you to achieve recovery time objective of minutes. So for IT disruption caused by ransomware, data corruption, accidental user error, or bad patches, you can use AWS DRS to recover your servers on AWS from a previous point in time. And when I talk about automation, you only need a very minimal skill set to set up and operate AWS DRS. It's pretty simple and it has a very unified process for testing, for recovery, and for failback for all of your applications on AWS. So this makes it very easy to train your staff who have very basic IT skills. Instead of bringing in multiple subject matter experts specializing in various infrastructure, operating systems, applications, and databases. And this automation also makes it easy to conduct frequent non-disruptive drills at any time to maintain your disaster readiness. AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery use cases. Now, there are three most common use cases that we see. The first ones are on-premises to AWS and cloud to AWS. So about these, you can quickly recover your on-premises and cloud-based application using AWS DRS. And AWS DRS reduces cost by removing ideal recovery site resources, and you only need to pay for the provisioned disaster recovery site on AWS only when you need it for recovery or drills. The third one is AWS region to region. So for your AWS based applications, you can use AWS DRS to recover applications in another AWS region, which can help you meet resilience and availability goals for your applications. So next, I'm going to be talking about assessing the operational readiness of the AWS DRS. So when we talk about assessment, so here are a couple of pointers that we've mentioned here for the reference. So there are a couple of pointers I believe that you need to consider to see where you stand and whether you're ready for your DR on AWS or not. Uh, this includes determine the recovery objectives, and this includes both RTO and RPO. Identify the stakeholders. By stakeholders, I mean identify the different uh, uh, individuals involved in the operations. It can either be your management, delivery managers, IT managers, product or project managers, engineering team, development team, DevOps, automation, database, etc. And then establish your communication channels, collect all the infrastructure documentation, choose the right technology, define the incident response procedure in case anything happens, define action response procedure and verification process, and perform regular DR drills, stay up to date, and prepare for failback to the primary environment. And I believe the most important point here is to stay up to date because, AWS pushes updates for all of their service almost every other week, right? And so you need to make sure that you have the latest updates on AWS DRS. What is it that AWS DRS is offering, this week or this month or in the next upgrade? And then there are agent for this to perform DR drill. You also need to install AWS DRS agent on your machine. So you also need to make sure that you have the latest agent installed on your machine and it's compatible with your operating system as well, right? All right, moving on to next slide. We have a small demo for you and where we will be talking about a high level architecture for EDR, how it looks like. And then uh, we will be performing a EDR installation demo for you. So I'm going to hand this over to Imtiaz, who is the lead engineer here at Royalcyber. Over to you, Imtiaz. Thank you.
Thanks, Hasib. Hey guys, this is Imtiaz. I am one of the lead engineer in Royal Cyber AWS team. So this is the high level architecture diagram of how AWS EDR works. This architecture diagram illustrates how AWS DRS keeps your environment in sync and ready for recovery to AWS at any time. On the left side is your source environment, which can be running on any other cloud, on-prem, or it can be hosted on AWS as well. On the right side is the target region that will be AWS cloud region. You can see the staging area and recovery area subnets. AWS EGR launched the replication servers in staging subnets and recovery instances in recovery subnets. You can see the communication between source servers and the replication server that is compressed and encrypted. So the way it works is you can install the AWS replication agent on your source servers without requiring a reboot and without impacting performance and any noticeable way. This initiates a continuous data replication to AWS, and AWS DRS automatically provisions a staging area in your AWS account. So let's talk about the steps that we need to perform in order to show the demonstration of how it actually works on AWS. Set up EDR on secondary region, agent installation, resource replication, verify replication health state, execute DR drill by launching recovery instance in the DR region, validation DR side with respect to application, services, rollback of DR drill by terminating the recovery instance. Let me give you a quick demo on how we can set up EDR on AWS. However, please note that in this case, I will be performing the demo from one AWS region to another AWS region. So guys, let's start Elastic Disaster Recovery demo. This is AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery console. We have configured this console in Ohio region. And on the other side, we have test machine in the primary Virginia region. You can see it is running state and both health check has been passed. We logged in into the machine. You can see now. I will download the Elastic Disaster Recovery agent using Chrome browser. Here is the link, and we are going to download the agent. Elastic Disaster Recovery agent. So agent has been downloaded. Now I will open the agent in the folder explorer. It is downloaded in downloads folder. This is the path. Now I will open the command line cmd. I'm going to the path where downloaded file is present. It is in downloads folder. You can see the downloaded file. It is here. So now I have copied the installation command, and I will run the installation command on cmd. Installation has been started. So installation has been completed. Now closing the command line. And log out the machine. So let's check on the Elastic Disaster Recovery console. This machine is appeared here. And let's check the replication. So replication is begin, and replication initialization steps are here. And when it turns to green, then our application will be completed. So let's wait for a moment. So replication initialization steps completing one by one. Now replication steps has been completed and replication is started. It is on 6% and it is completed now. Machine is ready and healthy state. You can see here on the source server console. So now we will initiate drill for this machine to test the recovery server, and we will choose point in time, latest point in time from here. So recovery job has been created and steps has been started. So let's check the steps. You can see drill started and these are the steps. So recovery job steps has been completed. You can see the state. Let's come on the source server. Last recovery result successful. Recovery instances. Here is the recovery instance. So let's check the recovery instance in the Ohio region. You can see this is the recovery instance in Ohio region. So we will terminate the recovery instance now, as our test has been completed. You can see recovery instance is terminated, and in the Ohio region it is shutting down. After shutting down, it will automatically terminated. So recovery instance has been terminated. You can see it is removed from recovery instance. So guys, this was our demo and it has been completed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imtiaz. Okay, folks. So the floor is now open for questions. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to write in the chat box. All right, I see our first question here. Okay, so the question is where we should use CloudEndure or EDR service. So I'm assuming that you're referring to the operating system here. And if that is the case, all popular and latest operating system is supported by both CloudEndure and AWS EDR. But if you're looking for any legacy operating system, then you can only use CloudEndure.
Next question is, can Elastic Disaster Recovery migrate containers? Yeah, of course. Elastic Disaster Recovery replicates on a server level. So yeah, any containers within the selected servers will be replicated. And next question is, can Elastic Disaster Recovery help recover server after ransomware attack? Yeah, absolutely. You can use point in time snapshot before ransomware attack occurred and you can recover your server.
Okay, so the next question we have is, what are the known issues in EDR? Okay, so there were some issues when AWS launched the service, and all of them are already resolved. We haven't faced any issue with the AWS EDR so far. However, there are some issues with the agent installation, and for that, AWS has already provided a very detailed documentation on their website. All right, we see another question. Does CloudEndure and EDR both not required public internet access within the AWS? Okay, so AWS EDR does not require public internet access as long as you have the source servers in the AWS region. However, if you're using CloudEndure, that definitely requires public internet access to communicate with the source servers.
The next question is, does EDR support post resume replication like CloudEndure? Yes, it does.
All right, we see a lot of guys. I believe you're already using either CloudEndure and AWS EDR. That's really interesting to know. Okay, so the next question we have is it possible to change the port of AWS replication agent? No. So the Elastic Disaster Recovery agent can only utilize TCP port 1500 for replication. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. Thank you for joining this webinar. Uh, uh, After this call, we will send out a survey to you. Feel free to put your input in it. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Bye bye.